Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. And as always, thank you for all your support, including sharing, chatting, liking, and subscribing. Now roll that famous logo animation! Good evening and welcome back to Computerized Start Live. I am your host, Justin D. Morgan, and I had to convince myself to stream tonight, but I'm here. Let's see here. We have CMD Big Mike. Hi, Mike. We have Kevin. Hi, Kevin. We have Jack68K. Hi, Jack, in the chat. Unusually light tonight. I did have to delay a little bit so I could let my dinner digest. Sorry about that. But it was kind of one of those, I needed to let dinner digest. I don't know why. I just opened a brand new box of gloves, and I am not entirely convinced that I pulled two of the same size glove out of the box, despite the fact it should be a brand new box. Which is really weird. In fact, actually, when I go to table cam, you'll probably notice that one of them seems like a different size. It's really weird. I don't know. I'm having quality control. Actually, I had to return another box of these gloves like a couple months ago because I got a return fraud box of them. And I knew it was return fraud because of the way it was packaged from Amazon, but yeah, someone had stuffed the small size into the medium size box. How does that even happen? I don't know. Maybe because this was the top glove on the box, maybe it was the last glove from another run. I don't know. It's weird. Anyways, we'll move on. I do not like ill-fitting gloves, but we'll press on because the moment I decide to try to fix it, I'll realize that it's like a box of mismatched sizes. Then I'll have to go rummage for another box of gloves. But anyways, let's see here. We have Joseph Norris. Hi, Joseph. Joseph says, I have to admit I am jealous of all the fun you are having. I wish I was having more fun with computer, but computer keeps breaking. Therefore, I keep live streaming. And I don't know why, but occasionally I'm glitching. I don't know. I think I'm going to have to replace the streaming computer sooner rather than later. At least I already have the computer that's going to be replacing it. I'm thinking I'm running into a bottleneck somewhere. But another bottleneck that I do need to solve is this important announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our favorite segment, Wheel of Regrets. Here's your host, Justin D. Morgan.
Hey, who comes up with these titles anyway?
So, I have two potential regrets, and I decided I was going to open one tonight, and then I'll get the other one Thursday. Because, well, I figured I would share the regrets. But anyways, this potential regret comes to us from an eBay seller in Indiana. So hi to all my eBay sellers and viewers in Indiana. Yeah, fresh regrets, yes. And if this is what I think it is, then this goes into my category of they lowered the price, so hold please. They lowered the price, so I bought it now. So anyways, we have bubble wrap, which I don't really want to... let's see here if I can't find a way to... Alright, I don't want to set the bubble wrap directly on these chips. So let me move these to the side here momentarily. And I guess I'll remove this card. There we go. I think now we're fine to open the bubble wrap. There we go. So I have bought this item in the past. Although this is an item that there are like a few pieces to the set that I'm still trying to find. And this had a very interesting item in with it that I hadn't seen before. So anyways, so now that I have taken the bubble wrap off, I think the seller has conveniently spoiled what's in here. So, but this is Jack says a Mad Dog sound card. No, it is what I think is a partial Ultra X professional PC diagnostic tools set. It's not complete, but I've been trying to piece together a full set, possibly a second full set, because I've got like I think I got at least two sets that are mostly complete. It's it's a nice little case. This is diagnostic software from back in the day, and kind of the parts where I kind of really wanted some of the extra parts, but this isn't why I bought it, because there's nothing special about the loopback testers, other than the fact they're branded Ultra X. Kind of still neat, though, to have the original loopback testers, even if they are very generically labeled. In fact, they didn't even bother to put a cap on that, so that's weird. It did, though, have a... what is this? Oh, it's a network loopback. Now, that's actually kind of neat. And it's got I think this might be a sound card loopback. And it had another serial loopback dongle, so those are always neat. The network loopback does not wanting to stay. And it had a PCI diagnostic card, which is nice. So I think this will be a spare. I'm not sure if I have a couple diagnostic cards. I know I've got an ISA one, and I don't think the one I have is working. But this one happened to have a PCI diagnostic card. I think the cool thing about this diagnostic card, which I don't think anyone's ever used, which is really interesting. I think that might be one of the reasons I really wanted this set, but not at the price they originally priced it at, was because I think I did notice that looked sealed. Because who doesn't like a first use opportunity? But what really caught my eye on this set is I think these right here. Because I noticed these and I hadn't seen them before. And these are the stickers that I think that came with the diagnostic set that would let you put a tested sticker on the computers that you had tested with this Ultra X set. I wasn't quite sure what the sticker said. This is why I wanted the set, is I saw these, and I was so curious. I was waiting for the seller to drop either I was waiting for this to just sell because someone was willing to pay more than I wanted to, or I was waiting for them to drop the price to a price I was willing to pay to get some spare parts and to figure out the stickers. And I think they finally dropped their buy it now price to like $25. Or maybe it was $30 and they gave me an offer like $25 or something. And that was finally the point where I was like, okay, that's low enough. Hi, hardware hacker, welcome. So yeah, I bought this set because it had stickers and I was curious. But the nice thing is, I think there are a few other parts and pieces that were also included. So there's the product catalog. So now I guess I've got the product catalog. I don't think I'd seen this before. So now I know all the diagnostic offerings they had back in the day. There we go. They had a RAM Stress Test Pro 2 card that you'd plug in a PCI slot. RAM Stress Test Pro Mini PCI. That's pretty cool. So you can plug it into a laptop and run a memory test. The PhD is their diagnostics line. There's the Quick Post PCI. The Micro Post 2, I think that's a parallel post card. The PC Inspector. I think this is from a newer set because it looks like they've removed the ISA diagnostic card from their catalog. So, yep, this is definitely from a newer set. Ahoy, Mega, welcome. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Ultra X and their strings attached product support. Yeah. I don't remember what the gig is, though, about their strings attached. Oh, they're saying no strings attached. That probably means no support after the sale. So they were calling their strings attached support. That, like, they give you support after the sale. There we go. That's handy. Having all the jumper settings for the diagnostic card. And in fact, actually, this card can allegedly work in systems that can't complete post. No keyboard RAM, BIOS, or video required. Because actually, the neat thing about their PCI diagnostic card is it has a video card on board. Oh, yippee! And it's got the software. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's right. Okay, busted. I actually bought it because it had the Ultra X test DVD. They don't call me Justin DVD Morgan for nothing. Yep, I had to have the test DVD. It also has the test CD, which I think these are nothing more than discs with test data on them for when the diagnostic software runs. And then it has the resource CD. I think the resource CD... Oh, it looks like the resource CD might be a CDR. How interesting. Hopefully it's still readable. That definitely looks like a CDR. Hey, Socket Wrench, welcome! Socket Wrench says, Ultra X sounds like a piece of military equipment that fails in third act of a Godzilla film. Yes. Yeah, fails in the third act of a Godzilla film. Right while the 5-star general is standing right beside it after he exclaims, "This is the latest in military technology and will defeat the Godzilla!" Fail. Ultra X is also the then nickname for the cashing out of the service for whoever invented Ultra X. Sucker Rich, how could Ultra X fail? Slams table. Yeah, Yeah, Jean-Francois Paré, welcome. Hello. Yes. Anyways, there we go. It's part, at least part, if not maybe the whole Ultra X diagnostic set from a little later in their product history. So this actually will go nicely with the slightly older one I have that actually has an ISA card in it, even if I think the ISA card has something wrong with it. So there we go. Some nice vintage diagnostics. One of these days, I'm hoping I'll actually be able to use them to troubleshoot a vintage motherboard. I don't know. Might be interesting to try that diagnostic card in the socket for motherboard that won't post, because it does say it doesn't need to post to run it. Sakurit says, I may have watched a few too many Godzilla films. Yeah. I might have watched enough sci-fi to know the inevitably what happens. But anyways, all right. I guess we got our one wheel of regrets out of the way. So let's get back to computer. Which, if I had spare time, by now I would have created a special animation just for computer. But I don't have time like that. At the moment, also looking into setting up a Slack instance for a group, and trying to figure out what paints are compatible with a bathroom floor for and let's see here, other random miscellaneous things that I have somehow volunteered myself to do. Oh yeah, and yeah, I'm also we had our finally got to have our first Tinker Different board meeting of the year, and that was good. But yes, hello computer. Seriously, I don't know why I am hoping that the jittering on my preview monitor is just maybe a jitter in the preview window, and that I'm actually not. I don't think I'm dropping frames. Okay, OBS says I'm not dropping frames. Oh, I bet I know what I've done. The other day, in an attempt to maybe... Jack says, the stream has been perfect, no jittering. Kevin says, I'm optimistic that you will get computer figured out tonight. I hope so. Hardware Hacker says, a keyboard, how quaint. Yeah, it might just be a preview problem. I did remember, it was like 2 weeks ago, I did change some OBS settings to try to fix the warning that was appearing at the bottom, saying that, like, it was spending too much time encoding. I did change the encoding level from like slow to medium. And I did go from H.264 to H.265. And I wonder if the latter of those two settings is what's causing the preview to be slightly more glitchy. Because even though I'm still using NVENC encoding, I would suspect H.265 is probably using more of the video card than H.264. At least that would be my guess. Saka Wrench says, the only thing jittery here is my anxiety. All right. Jack says, OBS has got to be one of the buggiest pieces of software known to humankind. Discord! Sorry, I don't know where that came from. Possibly the bugs to users ratio might be the highest on OBS. I could maybe give it that. Although, Discord seems to really be trying to reach for the stars. Although, in their defense, it might actually be Electron that's the actual cause of the problem. But let's just say that if you ever try to get a hold of me on Discord, I don't have Discord running on everything because of how bad Electron is. Yeah, there are computers I have that Discord will slow the computer down to a crawl. My streaming computer is one of them, so I don't leave Discord running on it. I think I'm signed in on a web browser, so I can open the web browser up if someone said, hey, I need to send you a link on Discord for the stream. I can open up Firefox and go to Discord in a tab, but yeah, I'm not signed in with the Discord app on this computer. It sucks too much resources. Jack says, I was hoping that after Microsoft acquired it, they would get rid of it. Mega says, I can't believe it that Discord finally fixed the auto update on Linux. Woohoo! Oh, also in other Linux news, I saw it today. Sad day for AMD K5 users. Apparently, Linux is dropping support for the AMD K5 processor because it doesn't have the timestamp counter instruction. So, yeah, if you thought they were going to stop the 486, well, apparently, the AMD K5 is the next thing that's no longer going to be supported as a light Linux kernel 7.2. Why does that matter? Well, if I wanted to try to run Linux on my first PC rebuild project, well, it's got an AMD K5 in it. I think that's also probably going to affect the, if I had to guess, probably the Cyrix 6x86. Because I'm not sure it had the timestamp counter instruction either. Although maybe it did. I think the IDT Win chip is probably also similarly affected. Harder Hacker says Action Retro will need to bury another processor. Yeah. Hi, Thomas Armstrong. Welcome. Oh, we'll have to watch later. All right. Well, welcome when you actually get to rewatch. Okay. So anyways, yep, got computer here. Last time, I believe, using the retro chip tester, we figured out that these 6 memory chips, there's something wrong with them. So therefore, at the moment, they're just setting to the side, although they probably go in the bad chip bag. Jean-Francois says 30 years of support isn't too bad. Yeah, in reality, no, it's not too bad at all. It really wasn't a great processor. When I do get around to my video on my first PC rebuild where I rate it, I probably am not going to rate past me very well because I should have got a real Intel Pentium. But anyways, Gut Bomb, welcome! We have Jason Merrill with Gut Bomb Industries here in the chat. Jack says, yeah, you probably shouldn't be running production workloads on 30-year-old CPUs. Oh, well, for my next trick, I was actually going to use computer for being a Discord server. Haha, just kidding. I don't need computer to have any more reasons to just up and fail on me. Speaking of other things that are not appropriate for running Electron on. Yeah. All right. So why do I have this random box of chips here on my bench? Because we are going to attempt to get to the bottom of computers' problems. And the first thing I wanted to do was find the memory chips that I believe are in this box. Jack says nothing is powerful enough to run Electron on. Mega says production workloads for industrial users, however. Yeah. Well, actually, if you look at the support lifetimes for a lot of industrial equipment, yeah, they can get away with it because there are actually product families for industrial equipment that have long support lifetimes. All right. Those are 74 LS257s. Okay. Those are not the memory chips I am looking for. All right. The memory chips I'm looking for are also not going to be in sealed DigiKey anti-static bags. Although, I should probably keep in mind some of these 74 LS chips because we might actually need them. Oh, what are these? That is a NM50 5290J. I have no idea what that is. This is from an assortment of stuff I bought on eBay, and the assortment is too new for these DigiKey bags to have. Oh. There's that thermal pad I bought and then misplaced. Okay. Oh, and there's the circular DIN connectors I bought and misplaced. Wow. And then, luckily, I was on a microscope view because there was a packing slip in this box. There we go. There's some TMS 4116s. I was pretty sure I had some in this box. All right, we may need those. I think these might also be some memory chips. Nope, those are 74LS 195s, and please tell me those are some 555 timers, because I'm thinking one of the problems is the 555 timer. Oh, hold on. 195s. Oh, I guess those are all the same chip. Never mind. I thought some of them were shorter. Let's see. That's a sealed DigiKey bag. Oh, that's where. My. Look at all this stuff I misplaced in this box. Jack says, do I have an inventory of which logic chips are still originals? No, I do not. I could probably figure out which ones are originals by looking at date codes, but it would not be a guaranteed thing. Oh, there's a Rockwell 6551. I don't know what that is. Computer doesn't have one. I think these are from a box of chips that I forget who did, but someone gave me the name of the open source project that they thought these went to, but I'm not totally sure, but I also can't deny the fact that that might have been correct. All right, so these are just some. Oh, well, there's some more 4164s. All right, well, that's good to know where those are. Oh, those are some cache chips. Let's see here. Are there any more 4116s in here? 4864s. All right, I believe these are DRAMs, but 4864, but I do not know. All right. I just want to make sure I have all the RAM chips out of here in case I need them. And those are 138s, and that is a 6288. Oh, I think that's an SRAM chip. All right. Oh, yeah. A couple more SRAM chips down on the bottom of the box. All right. Enough of that. I've got all the memory chips out of this box. All right. I don't remember why we suspected the 555 timer. Oh, I do remember why we suspected the 555 timer. We were wondering if the machine was not coming out of reset. Or something like that. It had something to do with the reset. But maybe we weren't coming out of reset, or we were not in reset long enough, or something like that. Anyways, so thanks to the generosity of Jason, I have one of those Zoe ZT703 oscilloscope dealy doodads. The battery should be fully charged. And I've got the oscilloscope probe, which I'm going to put into channel 1. Alright, there we go. And we'll turn it on. And then I'm going to run into the first problem that I always do. And that is that the... Oh, hey, David. Starbuck, welcome. And that problem is that the ground is never, ever long enough. So if you will hold momentarily while I find another alligator clip so I can clip the ground onto something. Hold, let me... Alright, let me see here if I can find a suitable ground clipping point. I usually like to clip it to the outside of the video jack, because that is a ground. So if you'll... Let me see if I know I've got some alligator clips here somewhere. Should have a... somewhere I have a... Oh, there we go. Let's say I have a bag of them or something. There we go. Just had to look for the end of an oscilloscope. Gutbomb's asking, do you have those probes set to 10x and the scope set to 10x probes? No, I do not. And that I have done nothing to change their setting. Gutbomb says you should definitely do that. Oh, actually, that's how they shipped. Um, I honestly don't get why oscilloscopes want you to use 10x probes when you're dealing with a 5-volt signal. Hit the menu button and hit right until you see the option for 10x and 1x. Okay. Well, at the moment, I am still trying to ground the... I'm still trying to ground my probe. Because unfortunately, there's no good place to clip the ground to. And I know some of you are saying, well, why don't you clip it to the power supply? Well, the power supply is a painted case, so not really going to give me a good, solid ground connection. I mean, I guess I'll probably have to try it because... Alright, so let's see here. Menu. Oh, it's actually already set to 10x. I didn't have to do anything. All right, so let's see here. Let me take the... All right, so I believe the reset circuit is over on this 555 timer. And I think I just realized that the... Hold on. The default time volts per division is ridiculous. No, that's not what I want. Menu. There we go. That's better. 2 volts per divisions. That means we should have... So channel 1 is right above the... I'm only doing one channel. I want channel 1 to be at the center mark so I can very quickly see if we're... So there you go. So 5-volt signal should be somewhere about here. All right. So let me see what we've got on the processor here. That looks kind of low. That looks kind of... Okay, well, I guess that is about 4 volts. All right, so that's on the processor. So let's see here. That looks like one of the outputs on the 555 timer. So if I turn off, turn on, I'll have to probably look at a book to see. Yeah, those are some fairly nice looking signals. I don't know. All right, I want to look at the schematic or something. I don't know which of the 555 timer pins is the reset signal. That was the first thing I was going to start with. I thought I turned the... Oh, backlight time. All right. There we go. That's better. There we go. Shouldn't turn the backlight off on us. All right, so I'm trying to see if I can figure out which of the 555 timers is the reset circuit and which output it is if they've cloned the Apple II Plus circuit. All right. Okay. Let's see here. Be an Apple II. Apple III. All right. Why is it so hard to find schematics? Apple literally published these things. Oh, there we go. Rudy's got them on his GitHub. The version I don't like because they're like on lots of pages and they're hard to read, but it's better than nothing. All right. I think they were probably originally on a single page and then someone had to scan it on multiple pages because the way they're drawn. Really, I should probably share my screen so you can see what I'm looking at, but I don't know that it will really help me one bit because it'll make it harder for me to see what I'm trying to do. Jack says, how about starting with the reset pin on the 6502? Because I don't know which one's the reset pin on the 6502. I don't have the pinout memorized. I always have to look it up. Oh, I guess that is the 6502. Okay. All right. So the reset pin is pin 40. Well, that at least makes it easy. That one's right there. Oh, Jack says, I think this is a redrawn Apple II Plus schematic. Anything would have to be easier to read than the originals because I don't have KiCad installed to open those up. Oh, there is a PDF. Well, I actually don't know if that's much better because the font is really small. So I got the choice between schematics that are on multiple pages without grid references to things that go on other pages, but I can at least read the text when I go to full width in the web browser. Or the redrawn schematics where everything is clear and I'm not tilting my head sideways to read it, but there's so much on a page that fitting the width means I can't read the text from here. Real world struggles of trying to live stream and diagnose. Jack says maybe that's what those 40-inch curved monitors are for. I wish I could afford one of those 40-inch curved monitors, but well, until I build my new workbench, I don't have room for one down here, for one. And I don't know, maybe those curved monitors have come down in price, but I probably need a video editing monitor before I buy a curved monitor for down here. Yeah, I know. We do have a reset signal, and it looked fine. So I think it's active low. Although beats me because the Apple schematic I'm staring at doesn't have active high or active low. Oh wait, it does have active high and active low marked. You just have to see the little circle on the... No, that can't be what that circle means. Jesse. Oh, hi, Jesse. Welcome. Jesse says, I'm not crazy about curved monitors, personally. Because unfortunately, the curved monitor means you can fit the width, but the height is still an issue. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of curved monitors either. Okay, so we do seemingly have a reset signal. But for some reason, we have 0-page memory errors. But we have a reset signal. Now, there was something else Thomas was trying to tell me about. Jack says, I think they're silly. The pictures of people using them vertically is super funny. Yeah. Okay, so there is a 74 166 on computer. Thomas Armstrong the other day was trying to tell me about an issue someone was having with that chip, and I did not understand the problem. Because I'm not an electrical engineer. Basically, the issue was something about the 74 166s, or I guess the non-LS chips were like not able to actually drive the bus, or some weird problem. I have no idea what it was actually trying to say. But like, '74 166 is on the original Apple II Plus. David Starbucks says, my Samsung Odyssey Ultra Wide's curve is great for watching F1. Other than that, I hate it. Capcom says, ultra wide curved monitors are pretty great. Let me see if I saved the Facebook post that was trying to talk about the problem. I unfortunately, I don't know what a 74 166 is by looking at the schematic to know if that even is possibly the problem. That's the only non-LS chip on computer. Everything else is an LS. Alright, so let me see. I think I saved the post. I hope I saved the post. Alright. Let's see here. Oh, no, wait. No, I didn't save the post. Because I was... Hold on. Because I couldn't figure out how to save the post. There we go. Alright. So, on the Apple II Enthusiasts Facebook group, someone was at the post that Thomas Armstrong pointed me towards. Oh, hi, Sylvestron. Welcome. Jack says that looks like the 74LS166 is related to the text output circuit. Okay, the post says here, please, does anyone know why some TTLs on the Apple II 2 Plus are not from 74LS family? For example, there's a 74166, a 74S86, and a couple others. Is that critical? May I replace them with 74LS ones? Reason I'm asking is related to color generation, although I think there's some other reason explained somewhere in this thread. This person is using a 74LS166 in place of the original 74166, but they're trying to make the computer show color, and it's not working. All they get is black and white images. So they think the non-74 LSICs might be the cause because of differences in timing. Alright, the first reply was, my recollection is that some 74LS chips won't work in certain Apple II included applications where switching speed is critical. Oh, I may need to look at the schematic. Let me, according to that thread, oh, hi, Michael, welcome. We have 1-bit fever dreams. Okay, according to that thread, if this is a clone, there should be a 74S. There should be a couple other 74S chips. Jack says, for what it's worth, the redrawn schematic lists the chip as 74LS166. Well, according to that Facebook thread, that could cause some problems with timing. Although, I don't know. I'm not an electrical engineer. Okay. I do see that there's a 74S175 on the silk screen, and I have an LS chip in it. And a 74S86 that I don't know what's in it because the text is rubbed off. I don't know that that's necessarily the cause of my problem. Although I do see, though, there's a 74S195 that I believe is in the memory circuit. And I do indeed have the S version of the chip. Unfortunately, Jack says, I know of the problem that Thomas is referring to, but I'm absolutely not an expert. Sylvestron says S is faster than LS, but they're also much older. If speed is a huge problem, moving to a 74F is better. I think that's the implication of that thread, that there are a few chips in the Apple II that need the speed. I'm not convinced that's the problem I'm having. Because the problem I'm having is that if I run a memory test, that we get uh, 0-page memory errors. Oh, actually, I think I know what we should do. All right. That's the problem we were trying to figure out. Why, when I put my diagnostic RAMCARD, which, when I put the diagnostic RAMCARD in computer, I get a 0-page memory errors. So why not let me put the card in, which is going to make it harder for me to see some of the pins in the CPU. I'm also not left-handed, but I will do this for... actually, all the data lines are... let's see here. Starting on pin 26 is data line 7. So let's see here. That's going to be... 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. All right, so let's see here. Actually, that's the weird thing. I think the memory test is actually running. Oh yeah, the memory test is running. Jack says, so this post you were reading specifically referenced clones. No, it didn't. I think it was actually talking about an actual Apple. Okay, so last week, I know when I put this ROM test card in, we were seeing instances where we were getting a 0-page error when I powered up. Jack says, so the computer is cold right now, and it's working. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's cold right now, and it's working. Okay, it ran through all the memory. It passed. I mean, the data line looks okay. Sylvester says, time to get out the hairdryer. Actually, I got a better idea. Why don't I just let the memory test run for a couple cycles, then I'll power cycle. I don't think we need the hot air gun. I think we just let it run a few cycles, and then... That was weird. Okay, maybe that is part of the pattern. Maybe that wasn't weird. The whole screen went blank, basically. Then again, I guess as it's going through its patterns, maybe the screen might go blank momentarily. Sylvester says potato, tomato. Yeah. Because the problem we were having is that I was trying to test things, so the computer would have been warmed up. And then, because actually the other thing is, if I don't artificially warm it up, then I can pull out my thermal camera and I can see if any of the chips are well, assuming I can find my thermal camera wherever I set it to. It should be. I think I moved it to the side. Oh, there it is. It was. All right. So I'm looking to see if any of the memory chips look maybe warmer than the others. And no, not really. No? Uh, None of the memory chips are running significantly warmer or cooler than the others. Now, there's some components in the power supply that are quite toasty. Oh, Jack says, I think what Thomas was saying about the machine coming out of reset is that the 0-page error that's being reported is actually a transient problem, or may actually be a transient problem. Actually, I'm gonna power cycle. Ooh, that's an interesting idea. Jack says that is, the 0-page error may only occur immediately after power on, and after things stabilize, it's fine. Well, from what I remember, I was able to get it to repeatedly happen when I put the ROM card in, but I also realized I did do something different. If you'll remember last time, I had a box on top of the RAM chips because I had the keyboard setting here, although not necessarily plugged in. So I'm going to see if maybe if I power cycle, and because these RAM chips might have somewhat of a memory issue, I'm going to let it stay powered off for about 10 or 15 seconds. Hi, Mike's Future Retro. Welcome. Jack says, I think the only thing we observed for sure was that the problem seemed to happen on every power cycle, but we don't know what the state of things was a few seconds after that. Well, no, we don't, because once the RAM test has a 0-page error, it stops. I mean, I guess maybe the dead test isn't waiting long enough for everything to come out of reset, but that doesn't make sense. The same reset signal that releases the CPU that, well, actually, I think the CPU is the only thing that gets the reset signal to it. Maybe the expansion slots. I don't know. I'm gonna plug the keyboard in. I know we've had problems show up when I plug the keyboard in. All right, keyboard is plugged in. Is it possible Jack says, I don't think the suggestion was that we blame the dead test. It was that maybe something is causing the entire system to come out of reset before everything stabilizes. Well, Jack says that something could possibly be the 555 timer. Well, I mean, that is the reset circuit on the Apple II, I believe, is a 555 timer. I mean, I can't comment whether that is more or less genius than other computers, because a lot of other computers, it's just like a capacitor charging that's the reset circuit. The capacitor is sized such that it will take it a certain amount of time to charge up to TTL high level signal, and that's your reset circuit on a lot of computers, whereas 555 timer is a little more deterministic as to if you set it for a time, it's going to take that amount of time to run. Although component degradation sure would mean the time would change. But I mean, I don't know. I cannot fix a problem that is not rearing its ugly head. I'm not going to just replace the 555 timer. Partly because I don't know where my 555 timers are at this immediate moment. Besides, I've already replaced the 555 timer. I believe the 555 timer at B3 is for the cursor, which means the one at A13 is, I believe, the reset circuit. But this book I'm looking at, I don't know that. All right, let me search the book for 555 timer. Let's see if the one that's it. See if I can find information on the one that's at A13. No, I don't think this book has 555 timer in it at all. All right. Jack says, I'm trying to remember, did you also get a memory test failure from Computer Inspector? We did. Yeah, we did. All right, what did we do? All right, so let's see if we can replicate that error. All right, so let's pull dead test out. We have to. All right. To replicate that error, we got to put the Saturn card in slot 0. And we got to put this controller card in all right. This controller card in slot 6. All right. Make sure the keyboard's in. Put the boot disk in. Yeah, error C0 at 00D001. There are no banks on an Apple II. No, I think that's addressed D001. I think the other two zeros in this context are not meaningful because this computer inspector does not understand how a Saturn memory card banks. Hi, Pitium MMX, welcome. Yeah, it's possible that might be a bank if it was an Apple IIe or an Apple IIc. But I think for an Apple II Plus, Computer Inspector does not support any of the or Computer Inspector does not appear to support a Saturn memory card. I do believe Computer Inspector does support the applied engineering memory cards, but I believe the two use a different method for specifying, basically for paging. They're not compatible systems, and maybe that might be where it would store the bank if it was an applied engineering card. But Computer Inspector apparently doesn't support the Saturn memory cards. For all Computer Inspector knows, it's a language card in slot 0. That's the most it sees. Jesse says USPS took 5 days to deliver a card 10 miles. Yeah, that definitely tracks. Jack says maybe the software doesn't differentiate between running on a 2 Plus versus a 2E and always displays a bank number. Yeah, that may be. Wouldn't D001 be in ROM? Asked Jack. No. And yes, remember that expansion cards can map over top of ROM addresses. That's how the language card works. Its 16K of memory gets mapped on top of the 16 upper 16K, which is going to be on top of ROMs. So that should be an address on the language card, or in this case on the Saturn card, because the Saturn card, as far as I understand how the Saturn card works, it looks like a language card to an application that does not support a Saturn memory card. So Computer Inspector should not have to do anything special. And it should see it as a language card. Now, I don't know why Computer Inspector is seemingly always finding an error at address D001, considering I replaced all the memory chips on this card and checked them in a memory tester. I'm trying to see if I can find a manual for Computer Inspector. Maybe give a hint as to what error C0 is. Jack's asking, does Computer Inspector actually support the 2+? Whoop, hold on. I would say the answer is yes, considering it can tell it's an Apple II Plus. I would consider that it supports the Apple II Plus. It has 48K RAM on the motherboard, and because I have a Saturn card installed, it see 16K on the language card. I mean, it sees it as a language card. So actually, it's 64K of memory. And yeah, it would kind of seem as if it is giving an error on a memory address that's going to be on the language card, which could be a problem with whatever chip does banking. I found the manual for Computer Inspector. I'm presuming it's the one for the correct version. It is a text file. All right. It does look like it supports Apple II, Apple II Plus, Apple IIe, and Apple IIc. Oh, and Apple II GS. So at least according to the manual, it supports all the Apple II computers. All right, let's see here. RAM memory tests. Oh, page 39, although this is a text file, so there's really not pages. And then page 41, it says it's got a list of devices that. Oh. Oh, that's game cards. Never mind. All right. Okay, the RAM memory test examines main memory and auxiliary memory for defects. First checks main memory, then auxiliary memory can run a continuous test. All right, Computer Inspector conducts the first test on the main 48K or 64K of RAM on the Apple II and Apple II Plus. This includes testing the language card and displays the results, then immediately tests the auxiliary memory and displays the results. Okay. So when Computer Inspector reports memory errors, it displays the bits that were in error and the address of the memory, the address of the error in memory. For example, error in at XXXXX. The hexadecimal number in represents the one or more bits that were found to be faulty. Convert in to a binary number, and every bit that is set to 1 is a faulty bit. The hexadecimal number represents the 24-bit address in memory where the error occurred. Some third-party RAM chips have an incompatible refresh rate that causes the memory to decay or change value over time. Oh, never mind. This is 2GS bit decay test. Oh. Oh, that doesn't apply to this. Okay. So. Jack says, oh no, what am I saying? 48K would be 0000 to BFFF. Yeah, it's going to be memory. Yeah, Sylvestron's asking D001 is slot 0 language card in the Apple II memory map. Yes. Jack says, maybe Computer Inspector is trying to be fancy and is not compatible with this clone board. Well, actually, I don't know that that's correct. All right. So if I do this, and maybe this points to where the error is. So if I do this and remove this card, and then put this card in, it's a Garrett's Workshop Saturn card clone. We actually test fine, which seems to point that there's an error on that Saturn card. I'm not convinced it's a RAM error. All right. I wonder if there's a logic problem on this Saturn card. Jack says, one of the things I had wondered is if it's possible that something was going on with chip selects that was causing things to stomp on the bus. I don't know that there's. I'm not convinced there's actually a problem with computer. I'm wondering if the problem is with this card. Now, why we were seeing 0 page errors with the dead test card, I don't know. I'm hoping that maybe if I let this run for a little while, and then maybe we put dead test in, maybe we might see something and might realize a chip is getting just warm enough. Unfortunately, I don't have a good way to diagnose this card with it in computer because I don't have a riser card. So I can't raise it up to a level that'll make probing easy. And quite honestly, if there's a problem with the card, could I try swapping bit 6-7 with 1-2 on the card and see if the C1 changes? I mean, I could, but also the thing is, I totally jacked up installing one of the chips on this card. Hold, please. Notice how that pin's seemingly shinier than the rest? Let me pull that chip out. I think we may have a simpler problem. I think I might have I might have misinserted the chip and oh yeah, that leg is yeah, that might have actually not making good might have not been making good contact. All right, let me that could have been the problem. Yes. Let me see if all right. Oh, I just pushed the chip in and there's actually there's something wrong with the socket. The pin when I pushed the chip in all the way, the pin actually bent back up. There's something in yeah, there was something at the bottom of the socket that pushed the pin up when I Jack says, "Well, of course there's something wrong with the socket. It is computer related after all." Okay, so I think yeah, of course. All right, so I have a feeling I'm going to have to replace the sockets on this Saturn clone card because I'm wondering if because I can't push the chip in all the way in this one socket because I think yeah, I don't think this chip is making good contact with the socket because watch, I may break the chip, but I got enough of them. So watch. Oh, actually okay, I think the pin actually bent again when I pushed it in. Although not as much this time. But let me see if I can I might try it just to see if that maybe it's making contact now. Yeah, that's not supposed to happen. All right. Let's. All right. So let's see here. All right. So I turned it off. I'm going to remove the Garrett's Workshop card. We know it works. I'm going to put the Saturn clone card in. Now that I've reseated that memory chip. I think I might even be able to get the oscilloscope on that pin. On the pin that was, all right. All right. I do not know what signal that pin is, so. Sylvester says, do a resistance test between the leg on the pin and the through hole on the underside. Oh, that's actually a pretty good suggestion. Although, we still have the memory test error. All right. I do have. I will probably have one misgiving of the Zoe. Although it's not going to be any different than any other multimeter that auto ranges. There are a lot of auto ranging multimeters that I could care less about how slowly they auto range. Let's see how fast or slow the Zoe is to auto range on a resistance test. All right, so let's see here at mode. All right, let's see here. F2, we want resistance. All right. I don't know that I can really. Okay. Okay. I don't know if y'all realize, but this is like one of the most awkward requests of the live stream because short of pulling the card out, but then I'm trying to hold the card and do a resistance check. Okay, memory. Oh, that was actually pretty quick auto range. Okay, so that's memory pinned solder pad on the back of the card. And the probe slipped. Yeah, we're making contact. Okay, so I guess at least my first impression of the ohms auto ranging, that actually wasn't bad at all. Hmm. There are some auto ranging multimeters that I think are trying to slow walk the resistance range identification. All right. Well, that's interesting. Now error FF at D00D. Wait a minute. Okay, if I like put dead test in now. Oh. Well, I was for sure thinking that it was now going to claim that there was a 0-page error, but no. Um, I I am beginning to think the entire problem is the Saturn clone card. Now, I did check all the logic chips that are on it with a logic chip tester. Now, that's not a guarantee that the one of the chips isn't bad. But I didn't have a way of testing the Motorola address decoder chip because okay, the memory chips have all been replaced, and I've not had a problem with the memory chips I used. They came from a reputable source, as in not not from China. Sylvester says chips out, good soak and deoxit back in. Well, the one socket seems like there's something in the bottom of the socket that's pushing the pin up. So I'm thinking at least that one socket needs replaced. I was not planning on repairing this card tonight. I don't have time to. We'll repair this card in another stream. I don't have time to go find the sockets to. Because if I replace one socket on this card, I'm replacing all of the sockets on this card. Because this card was in computer, and I am to the point where I am maybe questioning the sockets on the card. The other interesting thing is I've never seen the LEDs turn on. Although, maybe they don't turn on for the first 16K of the card, because maybe they only turn on when the card is bank switching or something like that. I am also wondering if the Hitachi chips on this card are bad. Jack's asking, does the card have two banks of 16K? No, the card has two banks of 64K each. That's why it's the Saturn 128K card. Or So it actually is going to have, what, 16 banks? Or is it 8 banks? It's Monday. Math is hard on Mondays. Yeah, it would be 8 banks. I guess physical chip arrangement is like 2 banks of 64K, but logical banking is going to be 8 banks of 16K. And I think it switches the entire 16K page. So I don't think this works like an EMS card on a PC where you could like have where the page frame can actually be pointing at like 3 different addresses in the EMS memory or 4 different addresses in EMS. So like yeah, think if you look at an EMS card, you get 4 16K pages in the page frame, but no, this I think you swap what 16K you see. Oh, I just found a memory chip that wasn't pushed in all the way. Although that wouldn't cause an all-bit error, but well, that was weird. There was another that was another chip that wasn't pushed in all the way. Okay, that is really weird. Yeah, you can map one of the 16K pages in at a time, but I don't know the specifics of how this bank switches. I think that's also how the applied engineering RAM cards work, but I think the mechanism they use for paging is different, which is why Computer Inspector doesn't support the Saturn memory cards. Now, if I had my SD card adapter that I did find where it went in the house. It was not in the basement, which is why I couldn't find it last week. I could, assuming I could find my floppy emu, I could maybe switch it to Apple II mode, and we could maybe then run the actual Saturn memory card diagnostic program. I pushed the memory chips in. Oh, it would help if I plugged the keyboard back in. There we go. Yeah, Penny MMX says, I have the Apple IIe myself fully working. Yeah, my Apple IIe at least was fully working last time I tested it. Error 40 at D002. Alright, I'm going to try something here. So, I'm going to power it off. I'm going to wait 30 seconds. I'll power it back on. While it's in the off cycles, I'm going to see if I can find my floppy emu. It's on my workbench somewhere. It probably has something on top of it. And then we'll power it back up and we'll see if Computer Inspector, I want to see, is it giving me the same error or is it giving me a different error? I think it's giving different errors. But I've had the card in and out a couple times. I want to see if I leave the card alone, as in not physically manipulate it, to potentially be causing board flex issues that are pushing RAM chips in and out. Could I be having memory? I mean, could heat be pushing chips out? I guess theoretically, but I doubt the chips are getting that hot with as short a time as I've got it on. But Jack says it's not 9:50 p.m. Do you know where your floppy MU is? Yeah. All right. Error 02 at D00A. Um, Jack says, well, I'm guessing your basement isn't a constant temperature, so that probably accounts for the chip movement. Week to week or night to night, yep, that could account for some chip movement. Within 5 minutes on my bench, I don't think we're heating up enough. I mean, I guess I don't know. I pushed some chips in further than I would have thought they would have worked themselves out in 5 minutes with them just powering up and letting it warm up and trying to normally use it. I mean, I could be wrong there. But, I mean, sure, I could see, especially because we're in the period of Virginia weather where it, like, wants to be spring, but then it's like, nope. Okay, maybe a little spring. Nope. Okay, maybe a little spring. Nope. I'm sure other parts of the country also have that problem, but yeah, this is a nope week for spring because it was like I think it got up to 70 today, and I think that would have been if you were standing in the sun. Maybe yeah, this weekend though it was nice and warm. Now it's like a little cool again. Yeah, Sylvestron says makes me think of the 100 aluminum boxes sculpture at the uh Jitani Foundation in Marfa, Texas. Chips and sockets slowly moving micrometer by micrometer every heat cycle. All right, let's try again. I've got the SD card in my computer. Let me just go grab the latest firmware version. Oh, let me Okay, so that's the same bit, but is that a different address? I thought it was D00A last time. Now we're at D00D. And yeah, and earlier it was FF was the bad bits. Now, if I'm going to bother to change firmware on my floppy MU, I'm just going to load the latest version of the firmware. It's honestly about the only thing that makes sense. All right. Apple II firmware normal version. Oh, all right, there we go. Hold, please. Let's see. That was wrong. File Explorer window. New volume. All right, let's see here. All right, now let me go grab the test disk. I can remember where it was. Oh, I think Garrett's Workshop had a link. Oh, okay. I don't want to go there. Defender block that. All right, I'm looking for the software disk because of course I probably didn't download it the other day when I saw it. Oh, here we go. RAM works. There we go. RAM works can test it. All right, I'm copying that now. I'll be back with the chat momentarily. There we go. All right, let me see if there was another diagnostic. Oh, that could be cool. Let's do that. I'm also going to go to Adrian's GitHub and I'm going to I think he's got a floppy disk version of the dead dead test. That could be that could be pretty that could be interesting to run. All right, so I grabbed that. I would be curious to see what it does if we try to run it. Because it'll have to load in. I think it loads it in the language card. Um, Actually, I have tried pressing the chips a couple times, Sylvestron, and um, that's not fixing the problem. I pressed all the RAM chips again before I put it in again. Jack, it's actually not spelled WORKS. It's like WERKS. It's like a really weird spelling. Maybe they didn't want to be sued for overpromising, says Jack. Yeah. Yep, I just copied it into the chat if anyone's wondering. That's the spelling. Oh, and apparently there is a official diskette. There we go. That was the other one I wanted to grab. The actual Saturn diagnostic disc. Because if we're going to try running them, we might as well run them. Oh, that's interesting. They actually... Oh, it looks like they had a CP/M version of the utility and then a DOS. That's cool. All right. So there we go. Run all the tests. Yes. Hi, Dave. Welcome. All right. So I'm just putting a few more tests onto my floppy emu. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. We've got diagnostics. All right. Floppy emu. SD card. Loaded. Let's see here. Ribbon cable. All right, we'll move it into the disk 1 position. There we go. I'll leave the floppy drive connected as disk 2 in case we need it for some reason. All right, so let's see. Hold on, I gotta there we go. Had to remember what buttons to hold down to update the firmware. But we're updating. There we go. We're now on Apple II mode. All right, so let's see here. Apple II stuff. Utilities. Let's go RAMWorks. Excellent. And I think it's maybe booting. All right, let's try PR number 6. Oh, hold on. So we should be loading RAMWorks theoretically, but it's on. It's like reading from track 4 and seemingly not doing anything, which maybe is a sign that the maybe that's supposed to be your clue that your RAM upgrade card is bad. Maybe I should pull the Saturn card and see. RAMWorks 2 has been tested on Apple II, Apple II Plus, and Apple IIe computers. Software will test RAM card memory sizes between 128K and 8 megabytes. RAMWorks 2 does not currently test language cards installed in slot 0 on Apple II or Apple II Plus computers. Okay, maybe. Okay, I'm not sure this program is compatible with this computer. Alright, so let's try another one. Well, let's try this disk. I think this is the Saturn utility. There we go, Saturn Systems. Well, that's not diagnostics. Okay. Oh, let's try. Okay, let's try this one here. Oh, it's power cycle. Let's try this one here. R number. Oh, that's why I couldn't see it. PR number 6. It's appearing down under. Yes, the floppy emu is working. Alright, we should have just loaded the diagnostic into the language card. And I think we might have just confirmed the, yeah, okay. That's not going to work, probably because the RAM issue we're trying to troubleshoot. Alright, let's try this one. Oh, that discs. That's the same one I tried that didn't do what I wanted it to do, and try the other card. Yeah, let me try the other card, because okay. There's two possibilities. First is the programs I'm trying to run either aren't memory diagnostics or they won't run on an Apple II Plus. And possibility number 2 is a RAM card is bad, and it's so bad that it's keeping the diagnostics from loading. So, all right, I just put the Garrett's Workshop one in. I think we pretty much know that that card seems to be working. So let's try the RAMWorks on it. Oh, and I think it's getting much further. Oh yeah, we got far enough for it to try to access the second floppy drive. Oh yeah, and it's still loading. There we go. No compatible RAM cards detected. That's weird. Oh, Jack was saying, I think the dead test, it's suboptimal that it wants to load itself into the language card memory that it hasn't confirmed good. Well, oh, let me try something here. So I'm moving the Garrett's Workshop card to slot 2 based on a note that was on the RAMWorks webpage. Oh, this is must boot from slot 6. Well, that's weird. Well, this controller card is in slot 6. Oh, I wonder if there's not enough RAM to run RAMWorks. Must boot from slot 6. Oh, I've got an idea. I did that, Jack. That didn't work. No, I've got an idea. Okay. So let me put the Garrett's Workshop RAM card back in slot 0. That gives us our 64K of RAM. Then let me put the Saturn clone card in slot 2. I'm picking 2 for Apple II. I think that error was it probably trying to tell me it didn't have enough RAM to boot. That's actually getting further. Because the RAMWorks website said it can't test the RAM of a language card. And at first I thought that just was it saying it they didn't design it for that. But I then realized that I think that might have been its way of saying we can't test the language card because we're using that RAM for our program. There we go. Enter slot to test. All right, so I want slot 2. Okay, that's interesting. Note that it didn't tell me that it didn't find any compatible RAM cards this time. It's like yeah, it didn't tell me it couldn't find a RAM card. It's just like not listing a card in slot 2 or in any slot for that matter. All right, let me I'm just going to insert and remove the card a couple times just to make sure there's not like some oxide layer in the slot. Yeah, press 2 and nothing happened. Yes. But if you notice, it didn't list a card in slot 2. And this version of RAMWorks supposedly supports Saturn compatible RAM cards. So unfortunately, I don't think I have another Saturn card. So, yeah, all right. Press the number 2, and it's acting like it's frozen. Oh, well, that's interesting. Remember how I said I hadn't seen those LEDs on? I'll have to pull up the manual to see what the LEDs mean, but I'm wondering. Oh, okay. All right, so there is a note for Saturn cards. RAMWorks will only display and test the first Saturn card found in the computer. Did all the LEDs come on at boot? I think they do come on briefly at boot, but not not quick enough. They're not on long enough for me to say with certainty that all of them come on at boot. It's like really brief. I think I have an idea of what might be going on here. I'm trying to think of if I have an actual language card. Otherwise, I'm probably going to have to go. Probably, I may have to repeat this test on an actual, like an Apple IIe or something that actually has 64K of RAM. All right, I'll power cycle to. I'm trying to find the manual for the card. But you do see them all blank. All right, now it's booting RAMWorks. I don't have the 2E handy. Oh, no compatible RAM cards detected. Jack, I didn't even realize you'd made a typo. Well, the software booted up and said no compatible cards found. Okay, this time around it booted and it's showing the so yeah, this time it's showing this and 3 of the lights are on. The last time when none of the lights turned on, it told me no compatible cards found. I'm trying to find the manual so I can try to see what those 3 LEDs mean. I'm presuming the LEDs are going to be in the same order as they are on the actual card. Okay. LED indicators, page 72. All right, we're waiting for the PDF to load. Apparently, a rather large file size. I am trying to think. I don't think I have a real language card. I had one. Wait, or maybe I do. Maybe it's in my Apple II Plus, which is also not handy. The reason why several computers are not handy is they're upstairs, and I don't really want to go upstairs and get them because uh, they're not necessarily in a spot where I can just grab them and bring them downstairs, and there's not enough room on my bench for them. I have an Apple IIe down here, but it's complicated. I mean, I will have to move computer off my workbench before I could do it. I guess we could. And I think that Apple IIe does have the correct disk controller to plug in the floppy emu as I have it on my bench. Okay, I guess. Okay, I'm waiting for this manual to load. I want to see what the LED indicators mean. Then maybe I will go grab the Apple IIe that's downstairs. It's the complicated one, which is why I wasn't really wanting to involve it in these tests. When I bring it over to the bench, you'll see what I mean. All right. There we go. Page. One more page to load. All right. The LED indicators. All right. The three of the LEDs indicate which bank is selected, and the fourth whether the board is read enabled. RAM read state. All right. Okay, the LEDs are defined as followed: left to right, and I'm presuming this is going to be the left one because it's probably referring to when you're looking at the card. So backwards from the way you. I think it's going to be backwards from the way you see them. I don't have OBS up to see the preview. Yeah, okay, so we're both looking at them backwards. Ah, welcome back, Jason. I'm trying to figure out what the LEDs mean. Okay. So, okay, the LEDs are defined as follows: left to right, or for us, right. Yeah, we'll have to read them backwards or mentally flip it around. Okay, so left to right, when looking at it, face up with the LEDs at the top of the board. A3, A1, A0, RAM read. When the board is read enabled, the RAM read LED is on. I'd have to look at the manual to see what it means by RAM read, but the other state is ROM read. So I'm wondering if that's more of a you can write protect banks. I don't know. Anyways, with all three LEDs on, it is doing a ROM read of bank 8. Oh, there actually is a RAM test. Oh, according to this manual, there actually is a RAM test program. I have a feeling it hasn't been archived. That's probably the problem. Okay. Okay. So, I guess here's what we're going to do. I am... Alright, I'm going to take computer. Alright. I'm going to put computer back where I have been putting computer when I'm not using it. However, I am going to keep the Saturn RAMCARDs here on the bench. So let me unplug the AC power and video, and now computer should be free to roam about the basement while I'm while I'm not using it. I'm sure my computers play when I'm not down here. Alright, I am going to... For anyone that's seeing me plug these into the wrong slots, I know I'm plugging them in the wrong slots. I'm just putting them in computer because I don't need those two cards on my workbench. I do know that if I were to use those two cards, I will have to put them in the correct slots. This is just so I can move computer off the workbench. So you can please send your concerns to I know I did it wrong at your local TV station, St. Paul, Minnesota, 60612. Attention, circular bin. Trying to mash together a bunch of addresses. So, yeah. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I know I did it wrong. Okay, let me get this off the bench. Let me go grab the It's Complicated Apple IIe, and we'll see if I can get the memory test to run on it. All right. Oh, I'm pretty sure you'll remember the It's Complicated Apple IIe when I start to look at it. Kevin says, "Isn't it always complicated?" Ha. Jack doesn't remember it. I don't remember what I've done to this power supply. I hope I've recapped it. You not remember this one? The one that's kind of like, why does it look like it's in an Apple II Plus case? Is this the one with the hole in the power supply? No. No, this is the Apple IIe in an Apple II Plus case. Or actually, I think it's an Apple II case. Yeah, if you're in the keyboard comment squad and you're disappointed about the fact that someone put an Apple IIe in an Apple II case, it wasn't me. So can't fix it now. Someone did it before I got it. Yeah, this is like the really low serial number Apple II case that I managed to... I bought this thing for its keyboard, and I ended up realizing I should just keep it. Did Apple sell an Apple II Plus or 2E upgrade kit? Seems like something they would do. I don't think this is an upgrade. I think this is someone's... They pieced together parts to make it work themselves. I don't think this is an Apple upgrade kit, because this RAM card here and the aux slot doesn't actually fit the case. So anyways, let me see here that I don't plug the flappy MU in wrong. I'm gonna, there we go, remove the, oh, does it not? There we go. All right. Yeah, it, okay, so there we go. This is our aux slot memory. There's a, no slot clock in here. We should have 64K of memory. Not empty RAM. All right, the only thing that I don't remember is if I recapped this power supply or not. Oh, no, I have not, because I just realized it still has rivets in it. Okay. How riveting. I have not recapped it. That probably means it still has refas in it. That's probably why it's like it is. So let me grab this power supply here. Yes. Here we go. I got a power supply here. Hold please while I try to free it from its storage location without dumping a bunch of stuff on the floor. Oh. I just found some compact flash cards. Cool. And I just dumped compact flash cards on the floor. Cool. Oh, wait a minute. I just found the... Oh yeah, I just found the no slot clock replacement that I bought for this computer. Now, now if you were wondering where the power supply I had that has the hole in it, there it is. And I've recapped it, so yeah, I'm not playing the make the basement smell bad game. There we go. That's probably why I had this power supply at the handy. I probably used it for testing this computer. All right. All right, so let's see here. Should be 3, 2, 1. All right, we got power. We should actually be... Oh, that's not the crispest of text screens, but... Why was there a hole in it? I think at some point someone had a voltmeter mounted in it. All right, we are not actually booting. All right. All right, let's boot something just to make sure the computer's. Oh, we're not. Oh, we are not booting. Okay. Yeah, that's later ROMs. I don't think this is an enhanced Apple IIe. All right. Let me let me start to narrow down the boot problem. It's not. It's hanging on track 0. All right. So I'm going to remove the aux memory card. That's usually a good one to remove for troubleshooting. I'm going to also remove this dumpling GX card from slot 1. And why don't I remove the super serial card from slot 2? And I'll make sure the that is a really old disk interface card. What's the chance it has 13 sector proms in it? Oh, we've got no video signal now. Well, a video signal, but it's like corrupto magic. Oh, I know what the problem. There's probably a problem with the video connector. Oh, I bet I'm going to have to fix. Try it with no cards. Well, with no cards, I can't boot diagnostic software. Okay, the video connector is going to need a solder, tack of solder. I think that's why the video image looks bad. I'm holding it in place. Yeah, that's going to require a fix. I got too much on my bench to try to fix that. I don't know how to tell if this is a. I mean, it's fixable, but I can't fix it at this angle. Because as you might be able to see, there is something plugged into the joystick connector or something on the board. So I got things in the way. But yeah, totally the ground isn't making contact. So this is the disk controller card. And I can't tell if it's a 13 or a 16 sector one. Because if it's 13 sector, then that's why I'm probably not able to boot. Because this is looking like it's a fairly early one because of the date codes. 7822, 7817, 7824, 7719. And then it looks like the proms are 3410028 and 3410027. How about using the disk controller from computer? Well, I already carried it off. Also, there is another problem with using the disk controller from computer, and that's this ROM here. Remember I said that there's a no slot clock there? Yeah, that ROM is like way off the board, and the disk controller from computer is actually long enough that it would interfere with this. It's probably not evident from that angle, but yeah, there's a no slot clock here under this chip. I have another disk controller card that's short, if I can remember which computer it's in. Yeah, it's sticking up higher. Yeah, unfortunately, the clone disk controller cards are not as efficient as the Apple ones. And I have a feeling this is a... Let me look up the proms. Let me see if I can... Ah, I found a GitHub. Apple Disk 2 Prom Verify for test Disk 2 interface card. So 3410027 is a 16 sector interface card. 3410028 is 16 sector interface card. Okay. So the problem isn't... Okay, so the problem's not... Although, there could be something wrong with that controller card. Oh, it's trying. It's really trying. Yeah, it is not... It is not booting. Let me... I'm about to pull the thermal camera out. But these are not empty RAM chips, but I am almost wondering if one of them has gone bad. Yeah, although I think it's the controller card. All right, I guess let me go grab the one that's in computer. Maybe it's not too long because I don't know where my other short controller card is. All right. Will it fit? No. Nope. It will not fit. Oh wait. Actually, maybe it did fit. It's touching the no slot clock, but I think it might actually be in the slot. Oh, and that's a crash. Oh, I bet we got all right, let me see what happens if I put it in slot. Let's see. I think slot 5 is valid for a controller card, but not all programs will boot from slot 5. Oh, oh, we just got dumped to the monitor. Oh, I bet we've got a RAM issue on this computer. All right. Okay, this will be funny if this loads. Oh wow, it actually did load. Anyone? I just loaded the dead test. All right. It actually loaded, so whatever the problem is, it wasn't bad enough to not load dead test. Right, I guess the good thing is if we do have bad memory, I think these are just 4164s. Interesting. Not a memory error. Oh. Oh, okay. I don't worry. I let go of the video connector. I think I might know what the problem is. I think my copy of Computer Inspector. Oh, I think I was booting a bad copy of Computer Inspector. I think that was the problem. That's why it was crashing. I need to delete the disk image off the SD card. I think it's a bad copy of Computer Inspector. So actually, I wow, that is a really grippy slot 5. All right, so I can take the disk controller that was in computer out of this Apple IIe. I can put its disk controller back. I think the problem was I was booting a bad. I think my first clue was dead test actually loaded into memory, which probably shouldn't have happened if we had bad RAM. Yeah, I think I had the wrong Computer Inspector disk image selected because I think one is actually the test disk. No. Oh, or maybe both of these. Maybe they're both bad. All right, let's see if I can get. No, I've probably corrupted the disk image. Well, that's not booting either. Okay. Okay. Well, dead test load off this disk image from this disk controller. Maybe I got a bad disk controller too. Okay, that's a bad disk controller. Okay, so I've got two problems here. I think the disk controller that was in this computer when I got it is bad because it won't boot anything. Probably repairable. I probably have spare chips to repair it. I don't want to try to repair it tonight because it's, oh, about time to end the stream. All right. I want to see that this Apple II can boot Computer Inspector. All right. Hold on. Would help if I select the correct disk and not try to select a CPM disk when there's no 80 column card. All right, so all right, that's good. Oh, so that probably means RAM works. Will probably boot on this computer. It should. It's got 64K of RAM. So RAMWorks should have enough memory to load. Okay. No compatible RAM cards. Okay, so I'm going to put the Saturn memory card in slot 2. So we can answer the question tonight, and then maybe Thursday we'll continue trying to troubleshoot these RAM cards. Hey, look at that. It actually detected it. So enter slot to test, slot 2. Oh, there we go. We'll just run a single test. All right, testing bank 1. If anyone's curious. There's our LED. I think this LED is uh on for write and off for read or something like that. It's the way it describes it in the manual is weird. Okay. I'm gonna see if I can let go of the video cable because no, I guess I can't. My hand was getting tired. I may have to read up on how the Apple II and Apple II Plus select slots. This is good so far. It would seem to point the because actually when it tested bank 2, I saw all the 3 address LEDs were on. All right, well, testing bank 4, interestingly enough, those LEDs are all off. I'm not totally convinced the LEDs are 100% working on this card, but the RAM seems to be. Now, clock speed, this Apple IIe is no faster or slower than computer. You know, I actually think there is a problem on this Saturn card. Because it's now gone to block B bank 1. And those 3 LEDs are still off. I think there's a problem with the address decoder on the card. It's the one chip that I can't test in the retro chip tester. I think there's a problem with the address decoder chip that's on the card. Because I don't think we're actually banking. Jack says, I don't suppose the address decoder is identical to one on another card and is socketed. I don't have another card that's got one of those address decoders on it. The good news is I can probably order one. The bad news is I don't have another card that I think has one of them. But yeah, I don't think it's banking. Because the LEDs are all off. The address LEDs are all off. The read and write LED seems to be working, but the address ones aren't. I saw them all off when I saw one of them on when we started, and then for bank 2 they were all on, but then the rest of the way they've been all off, which I don't think is correct. Sorry, I had to let go. Okay. And that is where we are going to end the testing for tonight. So, I guess Thursday we may continue to look at these memory cards. Maybe we'll also, since I've got the Apple IIe on the bench, maybe Thursday we will try to get to the bottom of this Apple IIe's disk controller card, which doesn't work. And maybe we'll install the no slot clock that I have for it to replace the one that's got a dead battery. So it's a modern recreation, but it should be the same as what's in the Apple IIe. So if I find the software that would use it, then hey, it'll be the same. I will put my thinking cap on to see if I can think of any card that I have that has one of those chips on it. But I am now beginning to wonder if that address decoder is bad on that Saturn clone card, because the Garrett's Workshop card works. I don't know how it's decoding logic, but it does have a lot of 74LS logic, and it would not surprise me if someone figured out a way to... Oh, actually, it may not need that address decoder logic because it's a single SRAM chip. That might have simplified the logic, being one SRAM instead of having DRAM chips that need a refresh. And also that someone may have figured out a way to do it with 74LS logic, because that decoder card is probably nothing more than a integrated chip. One chip to incorporate several logic chips. So, all right, I think with that, that's where I'm going to draw the stream to a close. I'm starting to get tired. So, Thursday, we may take a brief look at this Apple IIe while it's on the bench, but then maybe we'll get back to computer, because ultimately I'm wondering if we have still might have Even though I think there's something going on with that Saturn clone card, that it may have a bad address decoder. I'm also wondering if there might, though, be a bad slot select logic on computer. So I'll have to figure out what logic chips those are. So anyways, with that, I'm going to take the Zoe upstairs so I can charge the battery. So with that, don't forget to smash that like button if you like it when I try to fix these old computers. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when I'm going to go live next. Anyways, yeah, that's going to be it for tonight. So with that, oh yeah, don't forget, I did not announce it at the beginning of the stream, but I generally only announce it at some point. But anyways, I've got my coffee goal. Link is in the description. And with that, I hope to see you all here Thursday, 9 p.m., and then no streams next week. And then I'll be back to... And then the following week, I think I'm streaming Tuesday instead of Monday because of Memorial Day. But then hopefully I'll be back on schedule. But with that, let me set the Zoe down before I wave and toss it. That would be a catastrophe. So with that, I hope you all have a great rest of your evening. Take care, and God bless. Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. Don't forget to smash that like button. And if you've liked what you've seen, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or live stream. And as always, thank you for all your support. I hope to see you next time. And until then, take care.